Hi everybody, Nigel here, back with you, Nigel's Land Rover channel, and this is I guess part 4 of the Terrafirma axle truss fitting. And now we're up to the stage where we've actually painted the inside of the trusses. You can see I've got a couple there on the bench, and I've used Corroless S. Now I talk about this paint quite a lot, not because I'm paid to say anything good about it. I don't even get a discount off of these guys. I get it from a company called Arkwright Welding Supplies. They buy it in big batches and re-tin it so you can get it in a smaller quantity, because you'll find most places do these special primers and stuff. You have to buy 5 litres and it's very expensive. If you're only doing like one little job, you might only want a litre or something. So you know, really good to go to Arkwright and buy this stuff. This is a 2.5 litre can you're looking at here. See the size of my hand on there. And I've used this as a primer on bare metal, on rust and everything. And it's actually a rust inhibitor stabilizing primer. And I've heard, I can't remember if I read it or if I've heard it, it lasts for like 10-15 years. This stuff is bloody brilliant. I've used it on here. You can see it's still well. I've brushed it on. They always recommend using 2 coats. And I've brushed it on inside here. I don't like seeing brush marks in the paints and stuff, so normally I would spray, but I thought it's inside, I may as well put it on with a brush. And it's absolutely amazing. In a minute we'll go over to the axle that I previously primed with it and sprayed. And I've had to remove the paint where I'm going to weld, and you can see that it's been quite a nightmare getting the paint off. It's very tough stuff. You use 2 coats, you put it on fairly thick. You don't thin it as much as you would like a normal 2-pack primer if you were spraying a car, but it sort of goes on and then it pulls down beautifully. I've done a couple of videos where I've mentioned it. One of the videos I did was about 16 months, well 16 months? It was about 6 months ago on, I think it was the 13th of June. And I sprayed a scrap piece of metal which was rusty, and I actually showed the piece of metal. I don't think I showed it being painted, but I showed it before and after. And it's actually an old foot plate from the Marcos race car that was raced by Jonathan Palmer and Richard Gamble. And basically it was just lying around, it was rusty, so I thought I'd give it a go. And here it is. So this is that plate. It's had 6 months since I put it on the garden bench, and it's been sat there since. So we've had some very wet weather here in the UK, very wet indeed actually, from sort of December all the way up through, I don't know, beginning of March. We've had floods and all sorts, as you know if you've watched the news. And then since then we've had some really blistering hot days. So this has had wind, rain, ice, and it's also had like 7 or 8 hours a day of direct sunlight on it. So there it is. Now unfortunately the dog and the wind has knocked it off a couple of times, so we've got a couple of chips. Now there's a couple of chips. There's one here, whereas there's one there, and there's also one here if it can get it to focus. There we go. There's one there and one there, and we can see the corners have been knocked as well. Here the corner's been knocked. But overall, when you look at this, you can see that it hasn't rusted anywhere other than where it's chipped. You've got some rust, but the rust isn't sort of creeping underneath the paint. To be honest, it was chipped about probably 6 weeks ago, and we haven't had much rain since then. So, but overall, when you look at the overall finish on it, it hasn't rusted at all. That's just had 2 coats sprayed on, nothing brushed on, and yeah, 6 months out in all weathers. So, and that's just the primer. I mean, if you put the 2 coats of the RF16, the gloss black, on top as well, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to use it on my railings, I think, around the house, because it's just incredible. Really good stuff. So, yes, I'm promoting it, not because I'm being paid to, or because I get a discount or anything. I'm promoting it because it's bloody awesome. And when I started doing this, I was looking around for a primer that you could use on rust and bare metal and everything. And when I say use it on rust, I don't mean painting it on rusty things. I mean, you know, when you've got something like a gate post that's rusty and you sandblast it and you wire brush it and everything, you end up with a sort of pitted steel. You know, it's perfect on that, but also on areas where you can't sandblast, like on the chassis, whatever. You know, when you just wire brush it in a grinder and it gets into the pores, into the rust, and it really sort of goes in, and well, you can see it on there. That wasn't sandblasted. That was just literally very lightly wire brushed off. So yeah, go back and watch that video. It's called Corroless S through a Perlex gun or something, but it was on June the 13th I did it. sorry, December the 13th. So it's 3 days away from being 6 months. That's why I'm talking about this now. So let's go and have a look at the axle. Well, first of all, I did this. Remember I said I wanted to have the breather tube coming through. So I've done this, and this is the top gusset. And I've basically welded in, turned up this tube and welded it in. So that's how that's going to look. You can see it there from the side. So I'll go over to the axle now and we'll show you what's been going on. And there we go, there's the top truss as you've seen before, and it's fitted on. You can see here that I've ground away or used a sanding disc, one of those flat 3M sanding discs on a drill, so it's not too aggressive. So all it's done is remove the paint really and just give me a good prep for the weld. I haven't removed too much of the paint because obviously this paint doesn't seem to be too badly affected when you weld near it. It doesn't sort of all bubble up and flake like some do. And there you can see there's that tube I've welded in there. So when this is fitted on, like so, we've got to make sure that we've got a nice parallel gap here. And that's how I know it's in the right position that way. I've put a couple of arrows here to help me. But also you need to look along the length and make sure that the top here is parallel to the top of the diff, and also we've got parallelism here across this face where the truss is actually against that face there. So we want to make sure that it's not sort of like this, if you like. We want to make sure it's parallel. It's a shame really that Terrafirma don't give you some sort of guide to fitting this. When Cam did them, Terrafirma, I believe, bought Cam out. When Cam did them, I found online an old advert. They said it comes with fitting instructions. So also they had holes in them here. I wonder if they fitted better. But once I've done this, I'm going to send Terrafirma some links to my videos so they can perhaps make some changes. And even if they just cut these scallops in the end, it would make it fit so much better, because you can see you get this parallel line instead of a great angle on there. And also you've got rid of all that rock from side to side which it had before. I basically think what they should do is make them probably a good 3/4 or half an inch narrower, and then instead of having them like square, have them sort of more opened out, so you've got a thinner section across the top. They would fit so much better if they did that. So if you are watching Terrafirma, there's my suggestion. Perhaps you should employ me. I'll come and design them for you. But joking aside, there we go. So that's that ready to tack in place now. So I need to get my welding gear out and start doing some tacking, but I need to think very, very carefully how I'm going to do this, because obviously the way you tack and the places you tack is going to make the axle pull, and I need to do a bit on here and a bit on here. I'm kind of thinking to stay away from this end, because that is when you weld that it's going to go. So I'm kind of thinking get all this done, stay away from this end, and then have everything all sort of tacked up and solid, and then weld this end. And then if it does go, I can cut these tacks and bring it back down. So I don't know, I think it's going to need some more thought, but I just want to get a couple of tacks on it just so it's in place. Oh, and the other thing I want to show you, I've got this is the tube that comes with the Gwyn Lewis wading kit. It's really nice stuff, very high gloss. It's a good quality tube. It's nylon. So basically that's going to slide in there. Oh, you can see as well I've taken a cut out here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. Yes, you can. I've taken a cut out there. I cut a V into the bump stop, and then I've welded it up and then ground it back out, so that the tube is coming out into a valley, if you like, rather than coming out to a sharp corner. And then when this is mounted onto the radius arm, the only movement it's ever going to see is sort of like this. So you can see like this. So you can see it's under no real rubbing or anything. I could always put some grease around it or a piece of foam or something. But that's basically just going to push up in there, and then I can feed it up in here where the brass union will be, and just plug it in. So sorry about the dog. So there we go. See you in a minute. Okay, so we are ready to tack. You can hear the welder going in the background. Just to show you, my welder is again, it's an Tack, and it's an IGBT. It's a MIG 180. It's an inverter welder, so it's a really good duty cycle, and it's a really, really good bit of kit. I had a SIP welder before it, and it was I had a machine mark before this one, and that thing was very unpredictable. you know, the settings you put it on one day, the next day it would be completely different. And also you could feel it going off as you were using it, especially with heavy gauge stuff like this. This Tack welder, awesome. Again, not sponsored by them. I just when credit's due, I will give it. And if something's crap, I will say it's crap. If you watch my modelling bench channel, you'll know that. Even if somebody gives me something for free to review on the channel, if I think it's crap, I'll say it's crap. So that's me all over. Anyway, so thinking about tacking this, what I'm going to do is just put one tack here, and then a tack on each side about here, or round about here, just to hold it in place so I can turn it on its side and get some good tacks in here. Otherwise I'm going to be welding upside down, and if you can avoid welding upside down, do it. It's pointless trying to put yourself through welding upside down if you don't have to. So that's what I'm going to do now. So we'll do that on camera, and then we'll turn off. So I'll do this top one up here first. Wish me luck. That's that one on, and then let's get something in here. I don't quite know why I'm getting so much spatter. I'm wondering if it's this steel, because I had a lot of spatter when I was doing that welding on the rear part, but we'll see. Let's turn the wire down just a touch. Down the other side. Put a tack in here as well. That's great. So that's that held in place there, so I can turn that upside down and everything without it falling off, hopefully. So see you back for more in a minute. And there we go guys, it's all tacked on. I've done a few tacks on here. I'm having some issues with this steel, I think. I'm looking at the tacks and I can see they've got porosity in them. I think what I'm going to have to do is go along this edge and grind. I wish I'd known before, but I've degreased it. I'm still getting these issues with porosity. If you know about when you weld, you do a tack, and then when you finish welding, it kind of, whoop, it goes like almost like a little earthquake, not an earthquake, a volcano just comes out, and you get this little finger sticking out, and when you grind it away, it's kind of hollow, and that is generally caused by contamination. Now, this steel is probably from China. I know that if you're a fabricator, you'll know what I mean. They lather this stuff in this thick black graphite to stop it corroding. Getting it off is a complete and utter nightmare. So I think what I might do is go around the edges here and just grind all of these edges. Now on the rear axle, I'll know beforehand, I can do it before I start welding it. But I think I can get in here with a flat disc and just get in there and clean these edges up, because I'm having a real problem. You can see, I don't know if you can make it out, but this tack here actually broke. I actually pulled it in. You can see the marks there where I used a G-clamp to pull it in. It tacked, and then about, I don't know, 20 minutes after, it broke, and it broke right through the middle of the weld. So, and it's done the same over here on this side. So obviously these welds aren't very strong at all. So I need to, really do some proper investigation work before I continue. Where I've done a sort of fairly long tack, that tack there is about 15 mil long. It's held in place, and that's had a G-clamp on it as well. But I tack the parts on, and then I grind the tacks back so I can weld over the tacks rather than welding up to them. So yeah, so basically I'm going to call that a day for this video, as short as it's been, because tomorrow I'm going to pick up my brand new Ranger Raptor, which I'm really excited about. And then I don't know when I'm going to get back onto this again. It's probably going to be Friday, maybe even Monday before I get back to this. So I'll put this video out now so that you guys can see that I haven't just disappeared and given up. So thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying this little series and the amount of work I'm putting in to get this to fit. And unfortunately now I was hoping to sort of carry on and do a bit more welding, but I don't want to do any more. It's too late really to be grinding and everything. It's gone 7 o'clock at night. So I'm going to sort of call that a day for now, get the Mustang put away, and then get my Raptor tomorrow and go from there. So thanks for watching, guys. I will be doing a video about the Raptor when it arrives, so any of you that are interested can have a good look at it. I'll try and do something a bit different than a lot of other people do. I'm not going to talk about what it's like to drive and what it's like off-road and all that. I want to show you some of the differences between a standard Raptor and this one, because there are a hell of a lot. And the rear axle looks more like this actually, with the trussing on it. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting that. It's going to be a fun vehicle to own. There aren't many about because it's basically a commercial vehicle, and as some of you will know, you can't claim the VAT back. So most companies don't buy them; they go for a Ranger Wildtrak instead. So it keeps them sort of a bit rare. However, it might make it depreciate, so we'll see. Anyway, we'll see how it goes with that one. I'm trading in my Focus RS for that, so yeah, I won't be glad to see the back of the Focus RS, but I will be glad to see the back of the Worry. Whenever you leave it anywhere, you're always worried the thing's going to get pinched. So anyway, waffled on enough. I'll speak to you all very soon, and hopefully you enjoyed this. And this has been, as I say, part 4. See you all soon. Bye for now, guys.